In the dark and neon-lit corners of the 1980s, a war was being waged. Not with guns, not with politics, but with vinyl records and cassettes, and a whole lot of backmasking paranoia. Now, we've talked about the Satanic Panic before in a live stream, and apparently Satan had a killer guitar solo. So today we're focusing on the attack of rock and roll music and, yes, some Saturday morning cartoons. On paper, the 1980s was all about excess. Big hair, big riffs, and a big fear that your child was being secretly recruited into a demonic cult via a Judas Priest cassette tape.
Is connected to devil worship. That's the focus tonight of Lonnie Lardner's special report on Satanism. But we want to warn you now that some things you're about to see and hear might be too graphic for children. Lonnie.
The Satanic Panic was an actual socio-cultural freakout. Everyone from PTA moms to Congressional wives believed Satan was lurking in music, Dungeons and Dragons, and Smurfs.
If you don't know what Smurfs are, they're not that cute little cuddly thing. They are satanic.
Yes, Smurfs, but we'll get to that. But one of the loudest battles in this moral war? Rock music. So enter the concept of backward masking. Backward masking is the idea that artists were hiding subliminal messages in their songs that could only be heard when the track was played in reverse. When confronted with this, most musicians were like, yeah, what? But that didn't stop preachers from going full Scooby-Doo on it. Alright, I gotta pause for a second and get personal. So picture this, I'm a kid, I have all my rock music tapes, your Twisted Sister, whatever it is. I'm feeling rebellious, cool, possibly about to grow a mullet, life is good. Then my friend's dad, God bless him, pulls me aside and he's about to reveal state secrets and pops in a cassette tape called Rock-A-Bye Baby by Gary Greenwald. And y'all, it wrecked me. I was terrified. I went full purge on my music collection, tossed out tapes like I was on a holy cleanup duty. Goodbye Aerosmith, goodbye Van Halen, goodbye happiness. I thought I was doing the right thing, protecting my soul from subliminal Satan and his backward queen lyrics, but man, I missed those tapes. My wife, she had a similar experience, but luckier. Her mom didn't throw everything out, she just hid the tapes somewhere until the panic passed and was like, oh, it was like a flu, and eventually handed them back, like here's all your music, go ahead and listen. And listen, I became a Christian later in life and I still am, but let's be real, this kind of stuff wasn't faith, it's straight up hysteria with a church bulletin. The devil didn't steal my soul, but Gary Greenwald, who we'll get to, sure stole my cassette collection. So, who is Gary Greenwald?
In a very different light than we do. Well, Lynn, before we talk about that, let's go into another Scooby-Doo cartoon and let's see some of the occultic and witchcraft influences that are very blatant in this cartoon. Let's go to Scooby-Doo again here. Okay. And I can hardly believe what I'm seeing here. Now, we're looking at occultic things. We're seeing things like the chest of demons and witches and Stonehenge and occultic spell 13. I mean, we're talking about satanic things here. Now, Phil, it's becoming obvious to me what's going on, and I wonder, how did you...
If you've never seen or heard Rock-A-Bye Baby, imagine if your Uncle Larry got a televangelist budget and a vendetta against music. That's Gary. He had this electric energy like a youth pastor who just learned what a mosh pit means. Every sermon felt like a PowerPoint presentation, except it was 1985, so it was a vinyl VHS and cassette panic.
Their albums. I mean, let's look at a few of the groups like Twisted Sister, where Stay Hungry here in this video. The guy's eating a bone and he looks kind of like a demon. Look at Nazareth. Does that look like some guy you'd take to church? And we have White Wolf. There's Gene Simmons with his tongue stuck out very far, which is an ancient pagan symbol of demon worship. And the kids love to imitate their rock stars. This is the sad part of it. The kids want to be like these rock stars. And so here's all the kids at their concert dressing up like their favorite group, Kiss.
He'd hold up album covers like crime scene evidence, play records backwards live on stage, pause videos of Kiss concerts, and zoom in dramatically like he was hosting an episode of CSI Satan's Tour Bus. And his outfit choices, iconic. This man could fight forces of darkness and host a game show. Plaid, shoulder pads, mustache, the whole 9 yards. And yes, there was some clearly overt Satan messages back in the 1980s in rock and roll. I mean, you take Motley Crue Theater of Pain with the pentagram on it, Shout at the Devil, and there's more examples. Here's just a few covers I could find. And some of my favorite Greenwald moments was...
Here's two young girls that decide that they want to get involved with rock and roll, and specifically they want to become punkers. Now, I ask you, if the devil wants to pervert beauty, because whatever he had, he wants to pervert. If he was musical, he's perverted music. If he was beautiful, let's see how he perverts beauty. This is what happens to the young girls after they go to the beauty shop and become punkers. Now, to me, this is exactly what the devil is doing to the young people today.
With a straight face, explaining that Ozzy Osbourne was channeling demons. Meanwhile, Ozzy could barely channel a coherent sentence.
Is it always like this, or is this an exception?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Come on! Yeah. No, it's like, we did, 16 days ago we got over from Japan.
Warning that your child might become possessed by listening to Queen. Bro, my child can't even find his shoes. But the wildest part, people bought into it. These tapes weren't fringe. Churches played them, parents hosted watch parties. This wasn't just a VHS or cassette. It was doomsday prep for your record player. And hey, I get it, the 80s were a weird time. Satan was apparently behind every corner. Dungeons and Dragons? Demonic.
The Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the Monster Manual, and it's full of monstrous figures and actually those creatures that the children can imagine.
Smurfs? Blue occultist.
No, what you're telling me then is that even Smurfs carry a homosexual connotation.
Strawberry shortcake? Honestly, suspicious, but Gary didn't say that. But Gary went hard. He didn't just fight sin. He narrated it with a stereo playback and with matching tie clips. You gotta respect the commitment. Misguided? Yes. But committed? Oh yeah. And he had the audience, and they ate it up.
The 666, and the song was full of things about Satan all the way through. Anybody that listens to Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven is filling their mind with other lyrics backwards that they never knew were there. I've seen people that are actually possessed by this song and need to hear it every day.
This video is sponsored by me. You see, I don't want to go by YouTube's guidelines, I want more freedom, so our videos are not monetized. So here's my only request. If you're gonna shop on Amazon, just use the link in the description below. You can shop as normal, it doesn't cost anything extra, and it helps out our channel. We also have our Ko-Fi link in there if you just want to throw us a coffee to say thank you. We also have an awesome Patreon where we play those videos that just aren't allowed to be on YouTube. We get a little crazier, we get a little deeper, and there's some exclusive videos that aren't shown on YouTube. All those links are in the description. If not, that's cool. I don't run your life, do what you want, and I appreciate you, Ren fam. So rock music, how evil is it? Let's take some of the most nefarious examples of, quote, evil messages. We'll play each track forward, then listen to it to see if Satan's really whispering from Dad's record collection. So first we'll start with one of the biggest examples, Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. Forward, if there's a bustle in your hedgerow.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. It's just a sprinkling for the May Queen. Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on.
Backward supposedly says this. Actual reaction kind of sounds more like "Here's my sheep Seaton." But okay, that's beside the point. Jimmy Page did buy Aleister Crowley's house, so this one does have legs. And now on to Queen, who in my opinion is one of the best rock bands ever. So backwards, this supposedly says this.
Hey! Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Ow! Another one bites the dust. Hey, hey! Another one bites the dust. Hey!
Now the track does kind of sound like that in reverse. Coincidence? Probably. But it was enough for preachers to panic that your kid would roll a joint and boogie. And honestly, I don't know if Satan's involved with marijuana, cause saying it's fun to smoke marijuana, I mean, probably is, right? That's why people do it. Don't do drugs.
Say yes to your life. And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
Now the Beatles, Revolution 9. This one repeats, Revolution 9, Revolution 9. Okay, maybe I shouldn't just say Revolution 9 repeated, because there's a lot more parts of that song. So let's take a little deeper dive into Revolution 9 by the Beatles. I can probably only play the backwards parts to not get claimed by the Beatles, but we'll see what we can do here. Next up, we have Pink Floyd, Empty Spaces. So, playing it backwards says something so scary. It says, "Congratulations, you have just discovered the secret message."
What shall I know?
So with this one, I don't think Satan was behind it. However, Pink Floyd was trolling hard. This is an art school sarcasm at its finest. ELO, Fire on High. Backwards is supposed to say the music is reversible, but time is not. Turn back, turn back.
The music is reversible, but time turn back, turn back, turn back, turn back.
Again, it seems a bit deliberate on this one, and Jeff Lynne literally trolled the Moral Panic crowd with layered sarcasm. So now let's talk about Judas Priest. Better by you, better than me. It's the famous court case. Two teens allegedly heard the phrase "do it" backwards and took their own lives. The band won the case, but it showed how far the panic had gone.
Ruled that the metal band's music was not responsible for the suicide death of two young fans. Guitarist Glenn Tipton was not surprised.
There was no doubt in our mind at all. There was no doubt whatsoever at any point in time.
I accept it. I just really worry about the other kids out there that experiment with this, because he feels we didn't have enough scientific proof.
We took CBS and Judas Priest all the way. We've completed a trial on a case the experts said would have gotten picked off a long time ago.
You can listen to that music backwards and hear things if you want to. And it would be crazy for us to say you couldn't. But the finding that the defendants did not intentionally put any subliminal messages on there, I think, is a complete vindication.
I mean, Nike says just do it all the time. They're not getting sued. Heck, even Shia LaBeouf.
Your dreams come true! Just do it!
Ozzy Osbourne. This one isn't necessarily backward masking, but it was called the suicide solution. Critics claimed it encouraged suicide. Ozzy claimed it was a cautionary tale about alcohol abuse. Either way, it became prime panic bait for everyone that's out to attack it.
Wine is fine, but whiskey is quicker. but you escape the reaper. You can't escape the master keeper.
And Weird Al Yankovic did not escape this. So the song I Remember Larry off his album Bad Hair Day, in the bridge of the song at around 3 minutes 14 seconds, Al's voice can be heard speaking nonsense. When reversed, you can hear, wow, you must have had an awful lot of free time on your hands. So again, another example of trolling. Good job, Al. And they weren't always backwards. Some say the Hotel California was about a satanic church that used to be a hotel. Lines like, you just can't kill the beast? Or when they talk about wine, that we haven't had that spirit here since 1969? Let's find out.
I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven and this could be hell. So I called up the captain, please bring me my wine. He said, we haven't had that spirit here since 1969. And in the master's chambers, they gathered for the feast. They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast. Relax, said the nightman, we are programmed to receive. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
And so while it was prime in the 80s, it never quite went away. There's modern examples of this backward masking, and some outright direct examples, like Snoop Dogg has a song called Dog Seat in a Tass. That backwards, that says Satan is God. Pretty on the nose, Snoop Dogg. And there's more examples. I encourage you to check out the link in the description because it has a whole list of other ones. So we mentioned a little bit about the Smurfs. They weren't part of the core backward masking panic, but they absolutely got swept up in the broader 1980s moral panic about satanic and occult symbolism. There were claims made by many church groups. Gargamel was a satanic sorcerer. With his dark robes, his potions, and creepy obsession with capturing little blue beings, Gargamel was labeled by some as an occult figure or even a demonic metaphor.
And then they have an enemy called Gargamel. Now, Gargamel, in a recent episode, I saw him draw a 5-pointed star, the pentagram, on the ground.
Right.
He lit candles at each point, which is an actual witchcraft practice. He started to dance inside the pentagram, chanting a magical chant. At that point, a book opened up across the room, and something left the book and entered his physical body, giving him power to levitate and to do battle against the Smurfs.
Oh no. So we can say that Smurfs has gone occult.
The Smurfs were gender subversive. Oh no. One televangelist claimed they blurred traditional gender roles, and the fact that Smurfette was originally created by Gargamel raised suspicion about evil influences in storytelling. They were undead. That's right, there were claims that because of their blue skin, they were actually zombies, and it represented death or the demonic. The black lips seen in early animation frames were used as proof of occult imagery. And they were also claimed to be communist. The Smurfs represented communism. They all dressed alike, shared everything, and lived under Papa Smurf, a red-caped authoritarian.
Interesting.
And you know what happens to you when you die? You turn blue and your lips turn black.
In other words, these are depictive of dead creatures.
Right. And another thing is that Smurfs is an all-male community. And you say, oh, there's Smurfette. She's a female. Well, in one cartoon, she was depicted as transforming from a male to a female through magical power. And so the only female in the Smurfs is transformed from a male. She was not born a female.
No, what you're telling me then is that even Smurfs carry a homosexual connotation.
None of this had anything to do with Backward Message, but it shows how everything from heavy metal to Saturday morning cartoons came under fire in the 80s. And if it seemed weird, different, or rebellious, it was from the devil. Other cartoons, and one that was one of my favorites, is Dungeons & Dragons, the animated series. It only lasted 2 years, from 1983 to 1985, but it was one of the most targeted cartoons during the Satanic Panic because you got evil things like Dungeons and Dragons. And yes, it was based on the tabletop RPG, which itself was always at the center of controversy back in the 80s. The claim was that the cartoon promoted witchcraft, demonology, and suicide thanks to the game's association with fantasy violence. And one evangelist said watching the show was like inviting demons into your living room. I mean this.
Wait, Dungeon Master, you can't just leave us. Huh? He's gone! Whack! I hate it when he does that.
This is inviting demons into my living room? I don't see how. And yes, my dear He-Man. He-Man's power come from a magic sword and invoking Castle Grayskull. The claims was that promoted paganism and sorcery. Skeletor was labeled demonic. Well, I mean, yeah, look at the guy. Of course he's not angelic. But some groups said the show pushed New Age beliefs and non-Christian spiritual power. I don't think it pushed anything other than Orko. Why did we have to have Orko? Stop pushing Orko on me.
He-Man has more power than Jesus.
Skeletor, the master of the universe.
TMNT promoted Eastern mysticism and martial arts violence. Some accused it of glorifying ninja culture, which certain groups associated with occult practices. Others thought the Turtles, the mutant origin, made them biologically unnatural. Yeah, seriously. Couple more here. The Care Bears. Yes, the Care Bears. Why? Because it's New Age spiritualism. There were bizarre interpretations about them teaching children to use emotion power rather than the prayer of God. Start praying, Care Bears, pray. The rainbow imagery was sometimes attacked as a symbolic of non-Christian worldviews.
Well, how about something innocuous like the Care Bears? Aren't they very popular?
And he walks over to this table, and this book, a face comes out of it and calls him over and tempts him to open the book.
Right.
And he opens it up, and the face starts to talk to him and starts to teach him how to practice the occult.
In a Care Bear comic book?
Yes.
And we can go on. Disney had films, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, they all came under fire in the 90s. Aladdin uses genies and magic and forbidden sorcery. The Little Mermaid's villain Ursula was called a demonic witch. So you see the general pattern. If it's magic, it's witchcraft. If it's swords, it's occult power. Talking animals, that's suspicious. Anything empowering kids, that's rebellion. Rainbows, crystals, and fantasy, New Age / satanic.
What do you guys think happened?
One of the players Robbie played with got carried away and killed him.
Well, that's kind of far out.
Mazes and Monsters is a far-out game. Swords, poison, spells, battles, maiming, killing.
Hey, it's all imagination.
Is it?
So backward masking hearings were actually held in state legislatures in 1982. California politicians sat down to debate if Led Zeppelin records were mind-controlling teens. Meanwhile, the PMRC, which is Parents Music Resource Center, led by Tipper Gore, pushed for warning labels on music. And you know what? Fine, slap a label on it. That's fine. I think parents should be informed, and if your kid comes up to you with some band you've never heard, and you want to read the label and say, okay, maybe I don't want my kid listening to that, that's totally up to you. So yes, metal got slapped with a Parental Advisory sticker, making it instantly cooler, and then people bought more. And of course, Christian bookstores jumped into selling this, so they could make money off of it. VHS tapes like Hell's Bells.
This path, Jesus said, leads to destruction. Then there's a road less traveled, a narrow path that takes us to a hill outside of Jerusalem and to a cross. And this is the way, God says, that leads to eternal life.
Chick tracts warning about Slayer, youth group guides on how to cleanse your music collection. One church even held a record burning. Spoiler, vinyl doesn't burn very well. Even Christian artists, Stryper, which was a Christian rock band, came under fire. Watch this little clip.
And they relate.
Are you surprised as a result of that you've been condemned by a man of the cloth?
Well, the head banging, can you really say the head banging?
What do you mean by head banging?
Head banging, this is apparently goes on their conscience. It's the kids in the rows bang their heads in you know with the rhythm. No,
that's happened.
On the seat in front of them, bang their heads like that.
That's happened, seriously, truthfully. We've played...
Now, these kids who went to the concert told me that was happening.
Maybe 4 or 5 of our shows out of how many hundreds of shows.
Last time in Sydney, this apparently.
But that's nothing that we encourage. We don't tell kids to bang their heads. I mean, let's face it, there are people who go into church and fall asleep in the pew, but that doesn't mean that because you're the pastor that you encourage that, right?
What about this? What about this idea? Now, this is what...
But then, artists strike back. Musicians weren't having it. Frank Zappa, Dee Snider testified in the 1985 PMRC hearings and clowned on them hard. And Dee Snider's testimony has become one that has been well known as someone who's put together and actually well educated, not what they were expecting.
Brought to the slaughter. And I start reading. Since I seem to be the only person addressing this committee today who has been a direct target of accusations from the presumably responsible PMRC, I would like to use this occasion to speak on a more personal note and show just how unfair the whole concept of lyrical interpretation and judgment can be, and how many times this can amount to little more than character assassination. And I am just tearing apart everything that they've accused me of, disproving beyond a shadow of a doubt that everything they've accused me of has been wrong, false, and they are scrambling. They were saying that Under the Blade was about sadomasochism and bondage. It was about my guitar player's throat operation.
It's not really a wild leap of the imagination to jump to the conclusion that that's about something other than surgery or hospitals, neither of which are mentioned in the song.
No, it's not a wild jump, and I think what I said in one part was that songs allow a person to put their own imagination, experiences, and dreams into the lyrics. People can interpret it many ways. Ms. Gore was looking for sadomasochism and bondage, and she found it. Someone looking for surgical references would have found it as well.
ELO and Pink Floyd buried real messages just to prove a point. Some bands just embrace the image. Slayer, yeah, sure, Satan, but with the double bass pedals. Even MTV got in on the joke, running segments about the Panic with tongue firmly in cheek. So what did the Satanic Panic actually achieve? It made metal cooler, it sold more records, more cassettes, it made televangelists look ridiculous, but they also made profits, of course, and it showed just how scared people were of youth, rebellion, and loud guitars. Today, Backmasking is mostly a punchline, but the fear was real. And somewhere out there, a dusty old VHS copy of Rockabye Baby is still rewinding itself in some church basement. So thanks for watching, and remember, if you play this video backwards, you just might hear me whisper something.